Tatiana, questions, comments, observations?
Okay, I have a couple. Do you think it's appropriate? Shall we turn it on? Off?
Go ahead. Go ahead. If anything comes up that you feel is inappropriate, we can always...
Okay, cut it off.
Edit.
Okay, I have a question. Was there a specific reason why you used the wording do different, not do, instead of start, change, stop?
I just feel that it communicates better, and I want to avoid cliches. Start, change, stop, people start thinking, oh yeah, that's right because it's Scientology, I've heard that before. I don't want any associations like that, you know, or that sounds rote, that sounds like it came from this. Maybe they ran start, change, and stop processes, maybe they went well, maybe they didn't. But primarily I feel it communicates very, very well, to put it that way.
Okay. So it wouldn't imply the answer, kind of thing.
I'm sorry?
So it wouldn't imply the answer.
Right.
In a sense.
Right. It wouldn't. I don't want to trigger any circuits, any rote responses that a person. Well, I'm supposed to say this now. That I'm supposed to say I can do anything. I'm supposed to. You know. I'm not looking to trigger circuits. I want to address the being.
Okay, and I have another question or comment. When we were talking about negative processing and erasure or blowing, whatever it is, personality or Ingram or whatever,
right.
I didn't feel like it was creating vacuum, and I can explain why. Because I think it's miswording to call it erasure or blowing, because it's not. Because it's like Ingrams, it's like a fuel to me. And when you put the fuel into the car, it doesn't disappear, it transforms. And when you erase, which I don't like the word erase, when you finish working with Ingrams, the end phenomena wouldn't be erasure or blowing, it would be transforming the whatever rock into the flowing water, fitting the water. There will be no vacuum, but there will be a transformation. Basically, you are getting back your theta, from which it was
right. Right. A better
constructed.
Word. Right.
It was constructed.
Yes.
It's in theta. It's still theta, interpolated, but theta. And the purpose is not to get rid of it, because it's still value. Any Ingram, it's a fuel for your potential, because it's your frozen theta. All you need to do is just unfrozen it and get it back into the system of working. So there is no eliminating or what's the word, like erasure or blowing or make it disappear. You don't. It's your fuel. You just. So first of all, you have the theta that comes back, and second, there is a heaviness in this moment of erasing the Ingram or whatever, because you find the data that you didn't have before, because it was obscured from you. You couldn't see it because it was capsuled.
Encapsulated.
This energy, it was encapsulated, so you couldn't have what was inside the capsule. You didn't see it, you didn't feel it, you didn't know about it. But when you open it up, when in theta become your theta, and now your heaviness is, your price, is the data, and that comes in the form of cognition. It comes off in the form of the communication cycle being completed, the data finally being absorbed and arrived, and that is your heaviness. You don't need any other heaviness. And if you need any other heaviness, that means that the process wasn't completed. It means that instead of absorbing and using it as a fuel for your body, you took this like as an operation or whatever, you just pull it out and throw it away. Then you would need the heaviness. But the purpose is not to throw it away or blow it away or erase it or pull it out. The purpose is, which causes this vacuum, the purpose is to absorb, to complete the communication cycle, and then you have your heaviness right there. You have your theta is back, and you have the knowingness, the cognition. So there is no vacuum. That's how I see it, how I feel.
Well, you're not wrong. Let me explain it to you this way. First of all, erasure is a misleading term,
Yeah.
okay? Because it's kind of like the law of physics of conservation of energy. You know, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed, but spiritually we do create energy, and you know, we can have it permeate a larger or smaller space. A better word would be converting. We're converting is what we're actually doing. But there is the phenomena in session of loss of havingness from running out an incident, because what we're really running out is there's force against force, energy against energy, which results in a solidification, and that's where we get mass or matter from, and that can be undesirable. But there's a certain level, because basically it's an aberration, but a state of existence that just about all of us have, where we are most comfortable when we do have a certain amount of mass. So what we're looking to correct is the uncomfortable feeling of not enough mass. Now what you're saying
You
is
still have the mass,
actually
you still have the information.
is actually valid, but the information is not energy. Information is information. But so to substitute for that mass, so the person can regain that comfort, you know, what's commonly done is running havingness, let them pull in the mass of the present time environment. But a better solution, and actually I think part of what you're actually saying, is if we were to run a positive on that same material, on that same area, you know, that the positive of that information being the goal, the drive towards accomplishing something, some doingness or some beingness, that charge was in the way of, then you don't have to run havingness. Now you've got your havingness, because now the person is creating and using that life energy and putting something there themselves, rather than running the havingness of have them pull in the mass of their present time environment. Again, that's what's missing from the Scientology paradigm of just getting rid of things, getting rid of things, getting rid of things. Inevitably, a person finds themselves on a treadmill where they still feel like they need to get rid of things, because it's not by itself a viable solution, because energy is energy, and it exists in some form or other. What we want is to regain causative conscious control and creation and experiencing of energy, which is all in the direction of positive goals. So there is a phenomena which absolutely can be observed in auditing sessions, and havingness processes has been a valid solution to. And that will happen in a session, and the trained auditor can see this in the person. When they run out engrams, one way to measure havingness is on the can squeeze, okay? When you need to set the sensitivity level much higher to get that same third of a dial drop on the needle, their havingness has gone down. They'll look fidgety, okay? That's when a person feels like they want a cigarette or they want to eat some junk food or something. There is such a thing as lack of havingness, lack of mass, because they've converted, you know, the negative energy encapsulated into the engram into they've dispersed it, essentially. They've simply dispersed it. It's not converted into something positive until they do something positive with it and create it as something positive towards a particular goal, beingness, doingness, or havingness. The person experiences a relief of having converted that charge, but it hasn't yet been formed into a positive havingness until it is redirected towards the accomplishing of whatever their goals are. So that's why you would want to immediately, instead of running havingness, which is just, let's just put something else in that space, you want to run a positive. But there is, I mean, it's very observable. If you audit PCs long enough, you're going to see a lack of havingness happen. If you simply run out negative incidents, you're going to see, you're going to see them feel relief, but then you're going to see them feeling kind of squashed and thin and fidgety. There is something to correct there. There's something to do there. You haven't completed the action, really. You've left them at a midpoint. If you then don't give them something to substitute what they feel they've lost, which is the facsimiles are tremendous havingness, these images of engrams, these three-dimensional things. You know, it's like a person who collects a lot of junk in their house, and you're a hoarder, and you empty out all that stuff. They need to put something else right back in there, or they're not comfortable.
maybe I didn't communicate it, but I didn't feel like I'm talking my subjective experience. For example, we were running this auditing on identity,
Right.
and getting rid of the identity
Right.
sounds like I've lost something. Instead, I actually gain having the identity now, because now it's not sitting on me, it's not been hidden, it's not been, I'm becoming aware, so I actually have this picture, because now it's accessible, I can see it, I can perceive it, you know.
Right.
It's something I do have now, and it's exactly the same, the engrams, its content was hidden from me, I did not have it to begin with when I started to run the engram, and at the end result, I would have actually something appear to me. Now I see it, now I can feel it, now I have it, the content of this engram that wasn't
I understand.
in that sense.
All right. Well, there's two things, and it's one or the other or both. First of all, with running identities, generally you don't run into that havingness problem, because part of, well, I'm talking about in this particular procedure, presence 3 of running the identities, you don't run into this havingness problem, because an identity itself is not a mass. Okay, it's not. There's creations attached to the identity that are mass, but the identity itself is not mass. And when you fully run presence 3, you don't dispose of the identity. You know, you separate from it and you become causative over it. You're no longer unconsciously effect of all the attitudes and behavior mechanisms and whatever else of the identity, but you're not disintegrating this either. You are now, part of the processing is that this identity is now something in your pocket, and you can use it when you want to and not use it when you don't want to.
It used to have me, and now I have it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
being that you have actually experienced what I'm describing, presence 3, that's very good. You can definitely, you're adding the richness of your personal experience on running the identity handling. That's what happens. And that's why it's beyond the Scientology approach of getting rid of the valences, throwing them out, getting rid, that is incorrect. You don't get rid of any experience. You convert it back into useful life energy, and you gain conscious causativeness over it. And that, again, is in the direction of infinity of spirit. You don't want to continually, the idea of reducing the person by taking things away and eliminating things. You convert them into things a person can consciously control, create, and experience. That's what we want to do. That's entirely correct. With engram running, very often, not every time, and not with every PC, but very often, it's going to come up where you're going to see the manifestation of lack of havingness. And again, that's not everybody, and it's to different degrees, but when that happens, better than running havingness, which is just throwing something else in the, in the trunk, no, now convert that to positive, goal-oriented, this is what you want to do with that life energy, and do it. That position of not doing anything with it, okay, is probably part of why there's the manifestations of what we call low havingness. Now, this doesn't mean that one for one you or any particular or every particular person is going to experience that phenomena. Some of us have a tendency, and I think this is what you're describing, correct me if I'm wrong, but to just go directly to the positive, to take that data or that ability or that drive and say, I like this. I can do things with this. Instead of it doing things with me, I can do things with that. That's now perception. That's now added to my arsenal, my library, of what I can use to understand and create with. So if you're already in that mode and you're doing that automatically, there is no drop in havingness.
But I thought everybody does it this way.
I would never say everybody does about anything.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
You process what you experience. There are an infinity of mechanics depending on what a person creates, what resonates with them, what they become interested in, what they become indoctrinated in, what looks like a fun game to them. And that's why I have PCs who, for them, identities, no, I don't have identities. And you know what? They process things differently. And that's fine, and that's wonderful. Most of them are going to have these. Engrams, I have some PCs who say, you know, one time they tried to run me on an engram and it didn't go anywhere. Well, you know what? That's as true as anything else. That's not how they created their case. That's not how they're perceiving and envisioning their case. It's just as valid as any other viewpoint, and you process the viewpoint in front of you, not some preconceived, one-size-fits-all, everybody's got to have this, and if they disagree, well, you know what? Fly the rudiments and shove it down their throat. You know, that's, you know, everybody creates and envisions their case, their goals, in their own way, whatever resonates with them, whether it's self-created or they find some set of mechanics or way of approaching it attractive to them. You know, so I mean, some people, the whole subject of, you know, what the OT levels have come to almost entirely consist of, this idea of body thetan or entities. You know, some people look at that and go, yeah, I got those, I got 20, I got zillions of, that's it, that's the answer, and great, and therefore it is the answer. And that's, you know, again, what Dennis Stevens said, case takes on the appearance we expect it to take. We don't just expect it, we're envisioning it and we're creating it. And so you've got to deconstruct anything according to the way it's constructed.
I see in three ways. If maybe that would be the last comment to finish this talk. I see the three ways. How I envision it. If you see the flow of a river, whatever, water flowing, right, the stream, and there is a rock blocking barrier. So there is a three way to handle it. One, stay there blocked until there is enough water. You accumulate enough water to overcome the barrier, which means to grow your ability. Two, to destroy the barrier and continue flowing if you did, with no rock on your way. Mm-hmm. And the third, my most favorite handling to that situation is to, what was the word we were using? Transform. Convert the rock blocking the block, the charge, whatever it was, a mass, back into the state of water. Eat it, make it your fuel. Instead of getting rid of this, use it. You know, like
we do with identities.
And it actually works for both. By doing this, first the barrier disappears,
right.
And second, there is more water in there is more theta. It adds up, so the flow is bigger now, and the barrier is gone. So it fits for both. It's a solution for both, to transform the rock. So don't kill the rocks, don't kill the engrams, don't kill all this charge. It's in theta. We have to just see theta in it.
Right. My view is that where Scientology took a downward vector was entirely where it became increasingly the subject of the idea that one encounters things that are in opposition to them, and that these things must be overpowered or overwhelmed or made to cease to exist or gotten rid of. And in my view, majorly began in 1965 with the idea of labeling people suppressive persons, okay? And then getting rid of people, expelling them and discharging them because they were labeled as having counter intention, you know? The idea of mistaking another person's viewpoint for being in opposition to your own might be the most fatal thing, and the number one basic creator of all the in theta and all the case we ever process. You know, as opposed to understanding that we create everything we experience, we perceive it the way we create it, and that every viewpoint is as valid as any other viewpoint, and we can all gain from experiencing the other viewpoints. And there's no such thing as ceasing to exist, and we are not threatened with non-existence by the fact of other viewpoints. So all this declaring somebody something unacceptable and saying that they must accept your viewpoint or else they're evil and destructive and interfering with one's own viewpoint, and the idea that you need to process in that direction of blame and opposition is the direction of ruination of a very, very good thing. And I think that's basically where the error went.
Okay.
That's it. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
And
Thank you.
if you like, let's go to the Davis Food Co-op and have some good organic lunch food.
Okay.
I invite you to join me.
Thank you.
I acknowledge all your happy birthday wishes, everybody watching this video. Happy birthday to you too. It's not my birthday when you're watching this anyway.